Hey everyone, this is Anthony with Interviews with Everyday People. We're here for our second episode of season 4. This will be 117, I believe. I always lose track of the numbers. There's too many shows.
That's a good problem to have, though, that you have that many.
Yeah, it's awesome. Sitting here with John Seasock. He is a local business owner in Schuylkill County. Black Rock Trucks and Equipment. I kept reading your shirt and we're talking about local businesses, and I kept saying Black Rock because there's a lot of Black Rock and Black Diamonds and
Coal region.
Yeah, coal region. We lean into it, and I think it's a good thing we do. We're going to learn about you as a person and your amazing career in the monster truck world, which is super exciting to talk about. I know a little bit, but I know a lot. So we'll kind of, maybe you can teach us some stuff when it comes to monster trucks. You'd be the one to teach us. You've been doing it a while.
Over half of my life I spent behind the steering wheel.
And then we'll kind of lean into your business here now, what you do, and maybe have some people come check you out.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I was here maybe, Heidi, how long ago was it? You guys had like a flea market. You would open up the garage and have local businesses come in and people
and some food trucks and stuff.
Yeah, it was a really cool event. My buddy Scotty, who I helped promote his movie, had a little table set down here, and they did like something for their movie. It was a really cool event. I was like, this is awesome. It's a cool thing where a local business has the space for it, and like you kind of open it up almost like a little flea market type deal.
There was a lot of people involved in that whole thing. Joel Thur's been a friend of mine. He has his own place now down on 61, and some people in town. There was nothing for the vendors, the craft vendors, to do because of COVID. We have a 12,000 square foot building here. Happened to be a perfect weather. We had people inside, people outside. The food trucks were here, and it was a good time. We had T102 was here doing a live broadcast, and always have fun with Jay-Z and Chaz and them guys on the radio. So it's just a good time for everybody.
Yeah, that's a hopefully a collab one day, but they haven't been returning my messages. We're both in the media world, man. I'm trying to get my name out there.
I remember we were saying about your net worth is based off your network.
Yeah.
I have connections. Maybe I could hook you up with that.
They might have been mad at me. I had a bunch of people spam their Facebook page to play Crowbot songs one time, but I was like, hey man, we're a local band. I think you should be playing some of their tunes here.
I don't think they knew that you were local.
Yeah.
I think that's what they didn't know how local was.
Yeah, I think it would be a good thing to network with them, because I think I have my finger on the pulse pretty heavily with the local stuff, and I think that's one of the things. And this is not a knock, but I think that's one thing they lack in right now. I don't think they have their finger on the local sports, but I think with local business and local arts and musicians and bands and stuff like that, I can really help them out.
Dude, there's so much phenomenal things in our area that people don't even know about, and stuff like you're doing helps bring it to light.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some great people with a lot of talent that they don't shine because they don't want to be shined, or just do it because they love to do it. But there's a lot of phenomenal things in this area that nobody knows about.
I think the biggest thing is a lot of people don't realize that they are talented, because in this area, like, a lot of people don't support as much as they probably should. They're willing to support, I guess, like the bigger people and the bigger names, and then there's people in your backyard who are just as good, and they're like, oh, because you're from this area, you can't be as good, and it's so further from the truth.
I could go on a huge rant on that one.
Yeah.
Growing up, I come from a big family. We didn't have a lot of money or nothing, and my mom and dad worked hard to try to support 6 kids and stuff, and I had to stream. So I want to be a monster truck driver, and growing up, it was always, you can't do that. Look at them guys on TV. You come from Schuylkill County, you come from Frackville, you're poor, all this stuff. There was a million people saying how I couldn't do something. And the truth is, that's so much bullshit.
It builds walls.
Am I allowed to say bullshit?
Yeah, you can curse all you want.
Okay, because that's so much bullshit, because anything is possible if you want it bad enough.
Yep.
If you want it bad enough too, you'll find a way. You can't do this because of where you're from. I've been around the world 7 times. I've been in a lot of countries, been in every state, all this stuff, and I would come back home. This is my hometown. This is where I was born and raised. There is good and bad everywhere, no matter where you go, and you don't realize that until you leave the area. People here say, well, you got to go to New York if you want to be something. Go to New York, they say you got to get out in the country if you want to be something. You go to London, they say you got to be in New York. Everybody thinks you got to be someplace else but where you're at.
Yep.
And if you take a little step back and look around what you have in your area, you can be successful. It doesn't matter where you're at.
And with the power of the internet.
Oh, now there's no reason to not have your dream come true.
You could be in your basement and make a video, and
without a doubt.
Like what are those guys now? Those island boys with the crazy hair.
Those 2 idiots.
They're millionaires.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, thank God for them. They give us a lot of good jokes.
Yeah.
I posted one on Facebook about 2 cows, had hats on. They looked like the Island Boys, and I put down, I wrote something stupid about it. But
I don't hate them. I mean, they got what I'm trying to go for, right? Some exposure. Maybe not in the same way I'd go about it, but they did it.
they're doing what they want to do. So there's no crime in doing something that you love, unless it's something bad like you shouldn't be doing. But there's so many opportunities out there, and for people to get pigeonholed because of where you're at or what your last name is or you don't dress right. I would go to schools and do public speaking every week. I would be in another city, and I would go to schools and talk about kids doing their dream, following their dreams, trying to inspire them. One big thing we did with the grinder monster truck was our tagline was inspire, serve, and grow. You know, you want to inspire people to follow their dreams. You'd be surprised at how many people just don't believe that they can be anything because of where they're at, and that's the biggest bull out there. And I grew up it. You know, one thing I knew when I started doing this stuff, I didn't want anybody to feel the way I felt. I was always intimidated. I was always, I'm not good enough to be there. I'm not good enough to do that, and I'll be afraid to walk up to somebody, or I never felt like I fit in, and I didn't want to ever do that. So I made sure from day one, any fan that I had, I treated them as if they were the only fans, and I also treated them as if my kid wanted to come talk to somebody, I'd want to have a certain interaction. I want them to have something that inspires them and makes them believe in themselves. So I always tried to be that guy. That makes sense.
Yeah, one of the things I found researching you is that's one of the biggest things that I think really kept.
It's funny that you have to research me. That's something I would never think of.
That was the biggest thing that came up, is like your interaction with your fan base. Is the way when you would go like live on your page, or when you had autograph signings, or when you were at events, you really took your time out to make sure that the fans all felt like they were welcome there. And I think that's what really shined for you.
If it wasn't for them, I'd have to have a real job.
Yeah.
You know, I get paid to drive a big truck.
Yeah.
And wreck and crush things and travel around the world. And I mean, I was living a dream.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, let's rewind here a little bit. Where did this passion for like how does a kid from Frackville find monster trucks and find out that's the passion you want to take?
So there's two versions. I'll give you the G version of this whole thing. Growing up, I never had any money. You know, like everybody else in there, parents are working hard to provide for their kids and stuff like that. I had a lot of friends who came from some money and stuff and did okay. And we would hang out at the Acme parking lot in town here back probably before you were born. There was an Acme store in town where the Rite Aid is, and that was our thing.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I didn't know that was an Acme.
Young punk. We would all hang out there at night, and I had friends that had fast cars and all that stuff, and I bought a truck off my dad, and I jacked it up, and it was pretty ratty, but it was mine, and they'd be sitting there bragging how fast their cars are and stuff, and how they can do this, and the girls would flag me down and say, hey, let's go four-wheeling, you know. So I was able to have more girlfriends with a big truck than you would with a fast car. And that's what always started. Like, I never fit in any group. You know, in school, I dunked a basketball when I was a freshman, but I wasn't cool enough to be a jock.
Yeah.
I went to Voltech, but I didn't fit in with the Voltech kids. I took academic classes, but I wasn't cool enough to fit in with the eggheads. Like, I never fit in any group, you know, and I'm only using those terms this as to try to explain that.
I see a lot of parallels in myself here.
I never fit in.
Yeah.
I really didn't. And monster trucks was something that nobody was really doing, and it's something I liked. The technology that's behind it. Even back in the beginning, you know, you're taking a 10,000 or 15,000 pound truck and crushing cars with it and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, now I could jump my building here and walk away from it. It's amazing what you can do with these. We're doing backflips, you know, which is pretty cool. It's so I've never been able to fit in any certain group. Really helped to push me into what I wanted to do.
When's the first time you've seen monster trucks on like TV or?
It was I think ABC Sports. They had Bigfoot on there, and I seen that. And I get the magazines and see them and stuff. And I always liked big trucks, and there was a lot of cool big trucks in our area back then. But nothing monster truck, but all street legal big trucks. My buddy, a good friend of mine, his mom worked at the Acme, and the monster trucks were down in Philadelphia at the Spectrum. We wanted to go see it, so we talked him into talking his mom into letting us borrow her car, and we told her that we were going to the mall. We just didn't tell her that the mall was in Philadelphia.
You didn't lie about the mall.
No, we did not, because
She didn't ask where.
Exactly, so it's not really my fault. But when we got to Philadelphia, we drove through the mall to go through the parking lot just to say that he didn't have to say he lied, because we went to the mall. And it was kind of a funny story about the whole thing, but he was really worried about lying to his mom. And we went to Spectrum and saw the monster trucks, and Bob Chandler was there, a Bigfoot. I waited for an autograph and told him I wanted to build a truck. And he gave me some good advice, gave me a business card, said, if you have any questions, give me a call. And ever since that, we've been best of friends. I mean, I've nothing but respect and love for all the Bigfoot guys, Gravedigger, all them guys out there, because it's a neat family to be part of. And they're always, everybody, I still get asked, how do you get involved and how do you do this? Or, I want to be a driver, I want to be a crew guy or whatever. And you always try to help somebody follow their dreams. And that's what Bob did to me. He gave me that chance.
Yeah. I think a lot of people see something like that. Like, I'll just like the parallel of podcasting here. Like, people think, oh, you need to have like the Joe Rogan money and the Joe, I'm like,
yeah,
I said, most of the equipment Joe Rogan has, I own. You know what I mean? Like, and it just, when you first start the ground level, you got to do a lot of the work yourself, and you don't have the person to do the stuff for you. So technically, you can go buy a truck and then just buying the kits and raising it and lifting it and getting the right tires and stuff. So you can get yourself into the show, right? Essentially, without a company saying like, well, "Here's a truck, go drive it for us."
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to get involved, and you can teach, just like what you're doing. You can teach somebody how to turn the cameras on, how to hold a microphone, how to ask questions. But you can't teach personality. You can't teach realism. You can't teach passion. That's something either you have or you don't. With the monster trucks, the same way. I could teach somebody to drive a truck in 5 minutes, but you can't teach somebody to actually care about the fans. You can't teach somebody to want to perform for the fans. We looked at it as the world sucks right now, and it goes up and down through bad things, cycles and stuff, and people would come see us to forget about how bad their problems are for 2.5 hours a night and live kind of vicariously through what we were doing and be entertained. In my mind, I wanted to, if I paid $20 for a seat, and I would try to entertain for what I thought, I'd want to see if I was sitting in that stand.
Yeah.
I'd want a driver that's going to pay attention. I'd want a driver with an interview that would actually come from his heart. Like Dennis was always known for, thank you guys, you paid for every shingle on my roof, and and he actually meant that, because if it wasn't for the fans, we wouldn't be out there doing that stuff.
Now, when you say Dennis
Anderson, Gravedigger.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's good.
Yeah, like all the drivers were very sincere, it meant a lot for us that people actually come. I mean, I've met a lot of people, and I've met some really cool people and had some opportunities that are just hard to comprehend, but there's nobody I'd ever want to wait for an autograph for. And I've had people wait 5-6 hours for my autograph, which blows me away. I mean, because again, in my mind, I'm John from Frackville, from Schuylkill County. Why the hell would anybody want my autograph? And it just was amazing to me to even have that happen. Real humbling.
Yeah. So your first truck and getting into this into the sport, how does that process go about? So
I was in a car accident. Actually, I took my street truck and I tore it apart because I wanted to build a monster truck. So I bought tires, I bought parts and stuff. I was doing it in my dad's driveway. And then I was in a car accident. I got a little bit of money, not a whole lot, but real little. And I was able to buy a truck that was half started. Got the truck, did some more stuff to it, and we put it on the road. I had no idea what I was doing, no clue. I look at it, it's a big truck, how hard can it be? Run over stuff, can't be that bad. Never realized that you have to learn how to be a lawyer. You have to learn how to do marketing. You have to learn how to be an accountant. You have to learn social media. You have to learn public speaking, and there's so much more that goes to that than just holding a steering wheel.
Yeah, well, I think that's a testament to saying that you've seen the bigger picture to it. Some people just focus on, I want to be a quarterback, or I want to be a soccer player, or I want to be a basketball player, and they get their three-pointer down where they don't miss a shot ever, and then they get in front of their camera and they do their first interview, or they have to put themselves over on social media, and they don't know how to, they freeze.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing too. You could be one of the greatest in the world, but if you can't carry yourself outside that realm, you can falter.
Yeah, I mean, and that's so important. And to be sincere about what you're talking about, the way we all looked at it, the fans deserve to have the truth. They deserve to have realism. You could spend your money anywhere, any place you want to go, and if they take the time and spend the money to come see us, they deserve to be treated like they're one in a million, because they really are. When we would give our interviews and we would thank the fans and stuff, that was from the heart. It was very sincere and meant a lot. And even to this day, I mean, it's something I thank God every day for the opportunities and the blessings I had. You know, it blows me away sometimes. I sit back and think, or somebody will send me an email or a picture, and you know, it's hard to put that in words how important that whole thing was and how much it meant to me.
Yeah. Now is there different circuits to monster truck racing? I know that I found the USHRA, and then there's another one that you were a part of. So is there different tiers or? No,
there's one tier. It's basically it's all about putting butts in the seats. You know, if there's promoters out there, just like in wrestling, you have a promoter, and a promoter will hire the talent, the drivers, trucks, or to come in, and then you do the event. The more popular you are, the more money you're worth, because if more people want to see you, then you know the promoter could charge more money and get bigger venues filled and stuff like that. There's a lot of promoters out there. There's some bigger ones like Monster Jam, which was USHRA at one time. And there's a lot of other promoters who do just a phenomenal job, like Bloomsburg, the truck show. Yeah, that's a promoter that does that show. Down in Carlisle, there's promoters that just do fairs and this. And being a truck owner, you have to be a promoter also, because you make a lot of money doing displays and public appearances and stuff like that with your truck. So you have to promote yourself with all that. But it's all about putting butts in the seats. You know, the more popular, the more people want to see you. And
what was your first truck, and do you remember your first show you got involved with?
Oh, hell yeah. And I was way over my head. Yeah. I had no idea what I was doing. My first truck was Sudden Impact. It was a 86 Ford.
And you said you kind of modeled that off of?
Well, my first truck I started building was a 74 Ford. It was my street truck, and that was the same as Bigfoot. Yeah. It just happened to work out that way, and I realized it's the same truck. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah. I remember driving out of Frackville, and my truck was jacked up and everything. And it was a station wagon, you know, with the old wood grain down the side, kids hanging out the window and stuff. And a kid was hanging out the window, and he's yelling, "Look, Daddy, it's Bigfoot." And I remember looking down, and I'm like, yeah, man, I wish. You know, never realizing that I would be where I ended up being. My first show was in Boyertown.
Real quick, driving around Frackville, would the local police mess with you having a big truck, or?
Yeah. I'm born and raised here, so I know all the cops. I'm friends with all of them. Nothing but love and respect for them guys.
I just couldn't imagine the neighbors seeing a guy putting a huge truck in their front yard.
it was a funny. Every time there was a block party, and the new cadets came out, like for state police. Actually, on Goodwill Fire Company, when their block party was always around that same time. I'd get pulled over and get the tape measure out, measure my bumper height and stuff. And I'm like, you know, it doesn't grow when it rains. It passed last week. It's going to pass this week, you know. If I was on a date, and especially a first date with a girl, the cops would pull me over, you know, measure my truck, you know, cam me up against the truck, you know, and just screwing around, having a good old time. And it's one cool thing about living here. That stuff happens. Yeah. You know, you're friends with everybody, and you can joke and have a good time. And it was awesome. It was funny, you know, you look on a girl's face when you get pulled over by a cop on a first date, and then they're laughing at you, you know, they think it's funny, and it is funny. But yeah, I used to get pulled over a lot.
Yeah, the cops definitely learn the vehicles in their area, and they can see when it's a local vehicle in an out-of-town area. You stuck out like a sore thumb.
Bad, yeah. But it was fun, though. It was cool to be able to grow up that way. You know, it's something I wish my kids were able to grow up, having that opportunity to be able to.
You can't even have tinted windows anymore. Can you imagine having
Yeah, you're not legally. Yeah.
They mess with you for your windows. I couldn't imagine a Bigfoot truck dropping down the street.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty big. I mean especially back then, it was a big street truck. There were some ones that were bigger, but you know, I was always a good magnet.
Yeah.
You know,
all right, well, let's get back to your first show here. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine.
I wanted to go local there for a second.
So I got a phone call. It was a show in Boyertown called Fun Days. And there was a monster truck that was supposed to be there, but they broke down on the way there. And I was asked if I wanted to fill in. I'm like, yeah, no problem. How bad can it be? Never crushed a car before. Driven the truck around Zapata's parking lot back there. I used to go back on the weekends and practice driving and stuff. We get down to the show, and it turns out this little fair had 7,000 people, not 700. Like I was told, oh, it's a small affair. So I was intimidated from the get-go. I lined up there's people down at this field, and I have cars set up in the middle, and I go to start crushing the cars. And even though you're in a truck 10 feet off the ground, a car looks like it's 20 feet high when you're going to run into it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, man, what did I get myself into? And ran up in the cars, and it put the front end in the air, and came down on the cars. Like, okay, that wasn't too bad. Backed up, did it again a little bit harder. And like the third time, I jumped and got on top of the cars and started crushing them. Back then, we would crush cars. It wasn't like it is today where we're jumping houses and stuff. And we did the show, and the whole time I was way over my head. I was so nervous and intimidated and didn't know what to do. I had, back then we didn't want to wear helmets because it messed our hair up. It took too long to get it off the wave to the fans.
Yeah.
But that was my very first car crush, and I had no clue.
Now, when you're crushing cars at this point in time, are they legit? Like you take a car out of a junkyard, throw it there, and
oh yeah,
yeah. Because now I don't want to mess illusions up or anything like. But as a pro wrestling fan, like obviously back in the day when you go through a table, or you get hit with a steel chair. 9 times out of 10, they were legit tables and legit chairs, and now they're kind of like worked and gimmicked. Like, now are some of the cars like you see, like they look like they've been crushed before they even got there. Like the frames are taken out of some of them, or
now some of the cars they'll knock down the pillars.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have a fresh car. I don't like when they knock that stuff down. Only thing we would do is you take the gas tank out. You would let the air out of the tires because you don't want the car rolling around anywhere. And back when they had carburetors, you had a stud that stuck up through the carburetor. You put your air filter on. We would get the hammer and we'd break that stud because if you landed on top of the hood, you can put a hole in your tire from that stud. So that's about, and we knocked the glass out because you want glass flying, anybody getting hurt. That was about it.
Yeah. It's like so in wrestling terms, like when you get a table, you take the skirt off. So, because that's not going to break. You're going to cut yourself on it. So there is certain things you do to a car so you don't damage your own product or your own vehicle.
Yeah, minimal.
Yeah.
It's just like you don't want to put a hole in a tire.
Yeah.
And you don't want glass flying.
I know. Regular tires for my 2000 Chrysler are expensive. I can't even imagine what a monster truck tire is.
The most expensive ones I had were Ukraine tires that came from Ukraine, and they were $32.50 a piece.
Jeez.
But the bad part was you had to buy 20 at a whack. You had to get a whole sea container full of them. So you could just get 1 or 4. You had to get them shipped here. You had to get a whole sea container.
What is changing a monster truck tire entail? Like what is that?
Depends if there's food involved. So like like when I had my stuff, well, even all the way through, if you put the truck next to the trailer, and we're going to go to dinner after we're done changing tires and get the truck loaded up, we would have it in the tires and truck in the trailer. The tractor's already built in there, and within about a half hour, you can do it pretty fast.
Yeah.
There's different techniques to doing it. The tire weighs about 700 pounds. We made a electric jack. You go underneath the button, pick the truck up. Sometimes you would use rollers, like on a conveyor belt type of thing.
Yeah.
You could put them and put the tires on top of it and roll them out. An easy trick is getting a plastic mud flap or a cookie sheet. You put that down on the ground and get some Dawn dish soap. Put some dish soap on the tray. Let the tire rest on there, and you can spin the tire and walk it back and forth.
Oh, wow.
But if you're hungry, like I usually am, I just do it by hand. Just boil it, boom, boom, and get it off the truck.
Yeah.
Boil them around and stuff.
That's great. I remember being a kid going to my first monster truck show. I'll dive back in a second here. But like the big thing with the kids is sitting in the rim.
Yeah, in the rims.
Yeah, because a kid can stand in the rim of a truck because it's so big. But
yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many cool things about a truck. Some people don't even realize. There's more moving parts on a monster truck than there is any other race vehicle.
Yeah.
And the forces that we go through, that technology is used in a lot of safety, like SFI safety features and stuff, like the harnesses, the seats, things like that. I mean, it's amazing how far all that information travels.
Yeah, one of the questions I had before we got on camera. I'd ask here again for the listeners: what is the physical limitation? Like, being in a car accident obviously is one thing. You're jumping a truck in the air almost a couple of feet and landing on top of other cars. You're doing these big jumps. You're doing front flips and back flips. Like, I know those trucks have good shocks and everything, but eventually that has to take a toll on your body, right?
Yeah. I mean, but there's a lot of safety put into it. I used what they called an R3. It's like a Hans device that stops your head from going forward.
And that was kind of not newer, but that came out after the
later.
Earnhardt thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I also used a neck hauler, a thick pad. So on my helmet, I had 2 D-rings. One I'd pull down so I couldn't go this way because the neck collar supported the weight of my helmet, and then the R3 wouldn't let me go forward and back. The problem is you get so tight in there, your envelope is so well protected that your outside doesn't move, but your inside does. So if you watch a sprint car driver wreck, you see they call it red-eyed. It's because your internal organs are smashing off your skull and stuff. So that's the forces you get. We had X, Y, and Z boxes put on our trucks in Hagerstown, Maryland, by the Navy Corps engineers, because they're having problems with helicopter pilots getting hurt coming on a 10G landing. In 90 seconds, we had 10 hits. We had 10G hits, like 15 10G hits in 90 seconds, and they couldn't produce that kind of G forces on a any kind of testing. So they ended up selling that information to John Hopkins University. Hitting a fresh car is like being in a 50-mile-an-hour car accident.
Yeah.
And the key is to be relaxed. Like I could fall asleep in my truck. There's a lot of times before in a stadium and stuff, I'd be so relaxed that my crew guy come over and wake up.
Yeah.
I'll be in there snoring, just being all chilled and mellow.
Yeah.
The jumps that look like they should hurt don't, and the ones that look like they're nothing, the ones that rattle your cage. Yeah. So like around here, if you go to Mohegan Sun, and you're in an arena, those jumps hurt. They're the ones that do the most damage because you can't have an overrun out. You're just flying in the air and coming down. Like at Bloomsburg, the real big air jumps, they're not as bad because all the force is pushed through the chassis of the truck. It's more like flying a plane than it is driving a truck.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think it with a big truck like that, but you drive it with finesse. A lot of times you'll see us, we'll go in the air and hit the brakes. It's like jumping a quad. Hit the brakes, front end comes down. Hit the gas, front end comes up. Same principle with a monster truck. Big 4 outer rotating masses, and you can dictate a lot of cool stuff.
That's crazy.
I love doing sky wheelies, and I was always known for doing some pretty awesome sky wheelies.
Now, the sky wheelies is where you're almost like
straight up and down.
You're still driving.
Or flying across.
Yeah.
I'd go to like Mohegan Sun, iron wall car that's hitting a fresh car, doing a sky wheelie straight up and down, and landing it on the last car, and then bring it down. And when I do that, I would first hit would be on the throttle, and then I would get off the throttle and back on the throttle again, just to give that tires a little bit of time just to stop the rotation. And I would do it so fast that if I watch a video, I can't hear me doing that, but I know I did it because things happen so fast, and it's so much, such a minute change makes such a big difference in how the truck works. I mean, I know what I was doing, but I can't hear it. Even though I know I did it.
Now, when you go to these different arenas, obviously sizing is different from one arena to the other. You said Bloomsburg has a bigger spot where you can do more than Mohegan. It's a lot tighter. How does that, is there like a test you can go around to kind of get your timing so you're not crashing into the stands, or all the trucks are lined up, you don't crash into somebody else's truck?
Nowadays, they do you have a practice run at the stadiums, but that just started in the past couple years. Before it was always, you're going to practice when you have people in front of you paying you to do it. You couldn't afford to go out and take it out in the field and beat on it.
Yeah.
It's just trial and error. You learn. Like the first backflip I attempted, I landed and then my foot slipped off the brake and I ended up hitting the throttle and I went back upside down again. Well, that hurt, and it wasn't what I wanted. So you realize that is a bad thing. You learn from trial and error. So when you make a mistake, it brings a little bit of pain.
Yeah. Is there certain arenas or venues that you would go to that you're like you just know like the back of your hand, like, okay, I know what I can do here because you've learned that timing or spacing and sizing?
I got really comfortable. Like big arenas are cool because you're getting some big massive air, and you're going really fast. Small arenas are cool if you know how to drive. So when you go to like a Mohegan Sun, we'll just use that because it's local. It's cool to see somebody who can really drive their truck, whip that thing around, missing the walls. And just really having at it. It really makes a difference between the men and the boys. Instead of having somebody back up and doing all this other crazy stuff, you want to be fluent and flying around. And I always like to try to hit the diamond vision. That was me and Charlie Pocket and a couple of other guys. That was our thing. It was always trying to. That was down just a little bit too low. We tried to tag it with the truck.
Yeah, I think that's what the exciting part about being a fan is that little bit thrill of danger. Like this truck can come into the stands if they mess up. You know what I mean? Like you don't want it to happen, but that's kind of like the adrenaline factor of it.
That's the biggest fear.
Yeah.
And they have a thing called an RAI. Excuse me. It's called a remote ignition interrupter. So around the arena, there'll be 4 or 5 tech officials, they can hit a button, shut the truck off by remote control. So if something happened to me and I got hurt, if a fan was someplace they shouldn't be, if something was going wrong, they hit a button, boom, shut you right off.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I never knew that was a legit thing.
Well, if you look at it, when you're in the truck, you're sitting up, so you're strapped in, and this is what you see. You look out through it. You can't turn your head. You can't do anything. So we have to trust that the tech officials have everybody cleared off the floor. Nobody's going to be any place they're not supposed to be. So I know if I go down here, I can look at this banner. I know I can turn, and nobody's going to be there.
Yeah.
So we're trusting all that. So if they see something they don't like, or someplace they're not supposed to be, or if something wrong with the truck, boom, hit a button, shut off remote control.
Wow. Yeah, I just learned something right there. Then you also have a spotter in the car. They're telling you, hey, you have this much space between here and there? Or?
No, we have headphones. We didn't back in the day, but later on, as things progressed, we had communications with our crew chiefs. So like when I did the backflip in Philly, I wanted to get that within regulation time. So I had my crew chief tell me, I said, let me know when there's 15 seconds left. I want to ski over to the ramp and try to nail a backflip. So it came 15 seconds. He's yelling, 15, 15, 15. I'm like, okay. So now I know. I line up and we do the backflip and we landed it. And the place was going nuts. It was Lincoln Field in Philadelphia.
Were you the first one that day to hit it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was the only one that landed it that day. There were 67,000 people screaming. And my crew chief, Ed, he's been with me from day one. He said, you made it, you made it. I'm like, I know, shut up, I'm trying to drive. So we'd always be cracking jokes back and forth. And yeah, actually, my very first car crush in Boyertown, Ed was, he built street trucks. He was down there at that, and he became my crew chief that day. And then over the years, he just kind of stayed with me.
Yeah. Now, the biggest thing with anything is reps and getting your time in and getting that experience. Was there any, I know the big thing here is people like to take their cars and their trucks up the pole lines and drive around the mountains. Did that help you at all, living in this area with your truck driving?
I think living in this area, what helped me the most was the fact of being humble.
Yeah.
You know, like I said before, there's so much more to driving than holding that steering wheel. And I think growing up in this area where people worked hard every day for their stuff, and it made you respect things. You know, like nowadays, just paid drivers. They come in, they drive, and that's it. And really don't know how to fix a truck. They don't know what's wrong with it. They don't know anything. Where back then, we didn't have parts just to throw at it. We had to find out why it broke, fix it, make it better, and try to produce a better item that won't happen again. And I think that mentality of coming from around here really made a big difference in us. Even the last day I drove, I always was hands-on with setting my shocks. The gas pressure and stuff like that, because that's my back. It's in a truck. I made it all these years walking upright. I wanted to keep on, and not be in a wheelchair.
What made you stand apart, in your opinion, from the rest of the competition throughout your career? I know you said the one thing, but the big thing is staying fluid and staying motion, like instead of backing up, going forward. Like watching the videos, like that you showed me, and the ones I watched too. It was like you're doing the donuts in the Schuylkill Mall parking lot where you're quick whipping it around and going again. Yeah. And like, what are some other things that really help you stood out? I
used to do a thing called a roof walk. So I would put the truck in gear, and I wasn't as fluffy as I am now. I'd crawl out the window when the truck's moving and stand on the roof of the truck and wave to the fans as we were going down in front of the grandstands and stuff like that. And when I was done, I would kind of point to the engine and I would make this big hand motion, and they would shut me off by remote control. So then I'd stand on the roof and act up and everything. But that was
now,
one
was that
thing.
a sudden stop?
It would roll. It would go, and it would roll.
Okay, so it wasn't like you're getting.
Oh, it did. I mean, there was times that it got hit.
Fell off the truck.
Yeah. I was doing it the one time, and I ended up going over a little bump, and it was in the track, and hit right when they shut it off, and I lost my balance. I ended up jumping from the roof to the hood to the tire to the ground, like running just one big fluid motion. Everybody thought that was great, and I was just actually running because I didn't want to fall on my face.
Yeah.
But
now the first time you do that, is there officials at a monster truck? Like, they were like, yo, don't, like, you can't get out of the truck. Like, was that something that someone's done before, or were you the first one to do
some people thought it was great. Some people like, you shouldn't be doing that. I'm under control. And, and also in the back of the truck, there's a safety shutoff. So if you ever see when truck wrecks, the people run over to the back of the truck and they're pulling something, it's a safety pin that kills all the power to the vehicle.
Like an emergency cutoff.
Yeah, it shuts off the engine, shuts off any electrical, everything. So as I would do that roof walk, there was always a tech official off to the side that if something happened, he could always run over and pull that switch too. So there's a lot of safety put into it. And then I'd get yelled on my Facebook page or GeoCities back then, and MySpace and all. I always have to put disclaimers on because I get yelled at for, I can't believe you're teaching my son to stand on the roof of a truck. And
While he's driving.
Yeah. Or I would do photo shoots doing wheelies and stuff with motorcycles or quads, and I can't. You're teaching my son not to have safety stuff, so I have to always write a disclaimer. I'm a trained idiot. Don't be doing this.
Trained professional.
Yeah. And that was a bad part of being in the public all the time. I could have a million good things said about me. The one negative is the one that festers in my brain. Yeah. And it just eats me up.
Any publicity is good publicity, I guess. Right? But it does affect you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get some every now and then on the comments are like, all you do is talk about yourself. It's like, well, that's how I relate in conversations. I have to put myself in their shoes. That's just the way my style is. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to make it about myself. That's just how I relate to conversation more.
Yeah. I have that problem. Like I have a lot of good stories. Did a lot of cool things, and I try really hard not to be the center of attention. I try not to. I don't want to come across like bragging or like we'll be out somewhere and there'll be people will supposed to be talking about something, and I would love to be able to say, well, I did that, but I did it in England, or I did this in Australia, and then I'm thinking, man, I'm going to sound like a real dick if I say that, so I just better shut up and listen.
I love that kind of stuff because it strives for me to be like, oh, cool. I hope I can have those experiences, and those experiences are cool. Like I mean, I haven't had anything to the extent of that, but like doing some stuff on the podcast, man, I've had some neat experiences, and people are like, oh, you're bullshit. You're a fibber. You're telling. I'm like, I have these stories, so I put myself in these situations to have them. You know what I mean? Like,
thank God for the internet now.
Yeah.
Because nobody would believe half the stuff I said. Or my boys, they know more about it than I do. Like there's things I forgot about that they remind me that, hey, you did this, you did. Oh yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's too many shots in the head. I don't know what it is, but they remember everything that I.
Have you had any serious injuries with Mtra trucks?
I'm in the double digits in concussions.
Yeah.
Broken back, broken vertebrae. I had a broken back, and they said it was broken for 7 years, and I didn't know it. They were able to tell because of the scar tissue on it. Especially when I had sudden impact, I would do 50, 57, 60 shows a year. So you're on that adrenaline rush all the time, and you don't feel that pain until you come off that adrenaline rush. Then your body starts tightening up and aching, and you start realizing there's some things that aren't right. Yeah,
and you said just talking briefly about how much safety has changed probably in your career, going from just not wearing a helmet because it messed your hair up to the Hans device. Because obviously every sport kind of works with each other. So when something happens probably in NASCAR, they're probably looking at Monster Truck as how can we implement that to make our drivers safer as well.
NASCAR uses a lot of our technology, our harnesses and stuff. The Navy. For helicopters. There's the forces that are put on a monster truck chassis and a body is phenomenal. It was funny. I was in St. Louis, and they had 2 school buses on top of 5-foot pedestals. So the top of the bus is maybe 16 feet high, and they're 100 feet apart. I went and jumped it with the Batman truck and cleared the whole 100 feet and came down the backside. And as I came down, when I landed, I went into a slap wheelie. And kind of went, whop, put it on the back end and rode a wheelie right to the wall of the stadium and put it down between Bounty Hunter and a dumpster right at the wall. And the only reason I remember this so clearly is because after I did that, the crew guy came over, not the crew guy, one of the tech officials said, they want you to go in the stands. So I was trying to unhook my harness, and I couldn't because there was so much pressure on it, it wouldn't unhook for me. Well, when I landed that jump, now I'm in the truck like this, I'm strapped in, over my shoulders, around my waist, between my legs, so I can't move. I have my helmet restraints on. We didn't have a Hans back then, but I had the helmet restraints on with the neck collar. When I landed, as right as I landed, is a picture with the front tires were pushed into the rim. When they compressed that much, my face is in the steering wheel. So I stretched that far that my head's into the steering wheel, which is not this far away. And then went up into the slap wheel and rode it to the wall and put it right down at the last minute. I never knew it. I never realized I stretched that far.
Yeah.
The harness stretched that far. The pictures, like they use that picture all the time for saying about safety and stuff because of the amount of stretch that was in it, and you never think it.
Yeah. People didn't like with I hate to bring it up again with the Earnhardt thing. People never realized like how much that safety and how much protection you need until that happened, and it changed. That changed a lot with everything when that day happened.
I was big in SFI when all that happened, and there's angles and there's rules for reasons, and that was one reason, because of that accident, that things have to be a certain way, to certain angles, and I don't want to get in the middle of it because I have a lot of people pissed off at you we talk about different wrecks and why things happen and why people get hurt, but safety is a top priority and everything. Like if somebody says you have to have something a certain way, it has to be for a reason.
Yeah, I just remember I was huge in the NASCAR at the time, and watching Tony Stewart flip the car 16 times down the back straightaway, and he walks out of that wreck.
Yeah, and then Earnhardt
just does like a teen nosedive into the wall, and then they're like, and then you see the ambulance, and they don't say nothing, and then a couple hours later, like, he passed away, and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, his harness ripped.
Like, that wreck didn't even look like anything, you know what I mean? Like, and then that education was just from the fan to the driver to the future of the business to everything, and it really opened a lot of people's eyes.
Death threats to the Simpson. He was getting death threats because of it and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy at all. After we're done this, I'll tell you off the record what really happened, but
his helmet didn't help either. He had
open face.
He had open face helmet. There was a lot at play there, and I mean, you said the Hans device, and as soon as you said it, you're like, oh, Earnhardt, because that was kind of like the precursor to his death, was that device for drivers.
It's amazing he said Tony Stewart. So we were doing a thing called Pro MT racing. We were racing all the NASCAR tracks, Talladega, Darlington, Daytona, all these tracks. And Tony Stewart, Elliott Sadler, Jimmy Spencer, and Hamlin. Awesome. they drove our trucks down in Talladega, and Stewart would have made the field, but he got out of the truck and he's like, I don't know how you guys do this every day. Like, he had to spend the whole night with the massage therapist and everything, trying to loosen up for the race the next day.
Yeah. Jimmy Spencer was he's a not hometown, but he's a PA boy.
Yeah, hometown. Nescahoning. Nescopec.
Nescopec, yeah.
Yeah.
I loved him, man. When he was it Kyle or Kurt? He punched.
Kurt.
Then that was kind of like the end of his career. Did he do it at Pocono? He went at him at Pocono or something?
I don't know.
I remember Jimmy Spencer. He was awesome.
I was kind of glad he did it because I was working on a sponsorship and they took it away from me. So when he popped him, I was kind of happy.
Jimmy drove a car. His car was sponsored by cigarettes, right? Was he drove a cigarette car? Was it Camel?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I'm having a brain fart now. There's a few names in NASCAR that I always like. Him and Dick Trickle. Remember Dick Trickle? Mm-hmm. I don't get older, I get faster.
I drove a cup car up at Pocono for TNN.
Really?
And I did 183 miles an hour down Long Pond straightaway. And the average...
How terrifying is that?
It was interesting. The average speed of the race that year was 185, which was pretty cool. But, I'm driving a car and I was so worried about stalling it coming out of the pit road because it appeared high, and I think I'm going to look like an idiot, if I stall this thing. And once we got going, it's weird because you fight the car, but when you get to a certain speed and you hit your marks, it's like on a rail. It just goes through, and when you hit
force,
it's just like whipping right through it. And when you can feel the push when you're drafting somebody. You can get that close to the wall, the air pushes you back off the wall. Like, it was a neat experience.
Yeah. I would need new pants.
Actually, one of my favorite pictures ever is from up there at Pocono. I have my mechanics wear race gear bag, and I'm carrying my helmet, and I'm walking towards the garages. And one of my friends just got a picture of it from the back, and it was just a picture that I just thought was so cool. All the worlds that we race in or things that we do, it's like the same church but different pew.
Yeah.
I raced in Houston at Alliance Stadium. I ended up winning that night. From there, I had to go to California, to LA, to the Coliseum for a trade show. And I'm driving down a road, and I get a bus passes me out. And he said, I'm by myself. I'm kind of all hyped up from winning. And he's like, hey, what do you have in that trailer? And it was my tractor trailer, my picture on the side, the monster truck, the name, Monster Truck Racing Team, and all. I'm like, what are you, a freaking idiot? Can't you read? And he's like, yeah, I guess that was kind of stupid. And then the bus passed me. It's a Prevost. I said, who do you have in the bus? He said, it's Brad from Three Doors Down. He's a fan of yours. I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, Brad gets on the CB. We start talking, and and when you go out west, there's not many truck stops out there. So in Phoenix, there's one called Danny's. It's a real big truck stop, and I was going to go to Danny's, get my rig washed, and then go the rest of the way into L.A. He said, well, we're playing Cricket Pavilion if you want to come hang out with us. I'm like, yeah, I got time.
At the time, you were driving the Batman?
It was the T-maxx.
Okay. That would be hilarious if Batman showed up for a band that was known for a song called Kryptonite.
Yeah, that would have been good. We get out there and we're hanging out and we're talking about how our lives are the same but different. You're living on the road and you're entertaining the fans and you're trying to give everything you can to make them happy. And I put my truck on display at the concert for him. He drove my truck. He gets out of the truck. He's hugging me, calls his dad. He's like, Dad, I just drove Seasock's monster truck. And we were bullshitting. He's like, I always wanted to be a monster truck driver. I didn't want to be a rock star. I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. So I was on stage with him. And we became really good friends, the band guys. And, it was a story we tell all the time, how he just wanted to be a monster truck driver.
Yeah.
He would come and they're writing one of the albums, and I was racing in Chattanooga. And I said, hey, we're over here if you want to come over and hang out. Well, they stopped writing the album. They came over, we were my guests at the show and everything. And afterwards, we go to dinner. And we were standing at the bar at a restaurant, and people were coming over and asking me for my autograph and all kinds of stuff. And he sat next to me, and he's laughing at me. I'm like, dude, don't be laughing. I'll tell everybody who the hell you are, and then it'll be your turn to be doing this stuff. He's like, they have no idea who I am. They hear my voice. They don't see me on TV. You're on TV every day. Back then, we were on TV every day. He's like, you're the celebrity, not me. I'm like, that bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, back to Phoenix. When we got to Phoenix, we're on stage with them. That was the biggest concert at the time, and they had like 19,000 people. I just came from a Lion Stadium with 56,000 people.
We should get 3 doors down to a Yingling event.
That would be cool.
That'd be, yeah.
Those guys are awesome, and they're some of the. When you talk about people that get it, they do. Very humble, always never forgetting what he came from, down to earth, just good-hearted people. We were sitting on his tour bus and we were talking about different things, and he was telling me about what some of the songs meant to him and why they were written. And
is he a comic book nerd?
No.
No. I always thought maybe he was super into comics because he wrote the Kryptonite. I don't know. I always latch on the Kryptonite.
He's funny. I mean, all the more because they talk. They're from like Piscataway, Mississippi. Mm-hmm. So like if you go to swamps and make a left, go past nowhere, they're like another mile past that.
Yeah.
But they just such good people. I was at the campground one time. We ended up getting on the phone together and we're bullshitting. And he's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm sitting having a beer here at the campground." So what are you doing? So I'm shoveling shit, horse barn. They sure as hell don't show that in MTV Cribs, do they?
Yeah.
But that's the type that I meant about having people not forgetting where they come from and keeping it real and being humble and stuff. Like those guys are just awesome people.
Now another group of guys you met. This is where I'm going to fan out a little bit. I did actually seen him just live in Reading. Maybe a couple weeks, actually the week of my birthday. I seen the day of my birthday, December 5th. He played in Reading in his theater, the Reading Theater. Steve-O.
Oh yeah.
You got to hang out with Steve-O and Chris Pontius. Steve-O got to drive the t-maxx truck. How was it meeting those guys?
We
the set of Wild Boys.
We've done a bunch of stuff with Jackass and Wild Boys.
And Nitro Circus too, right?
Yeah. I think I was on like 4 episodes of Jackass and Wild Boys, all together. And
the movie comes out soon.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool.
I can't wait. I'm a huge Jackass fan.
The guys are cool.
Yeah,
they're really cool. Steve-O's awesome now that he's cleaned up and everything.
Yeah, I'm very happy he is. I hope Bam gets on that same boat.
I hope so. Bam's Bam's a good dude. He's good. He's got a good heart. He just lost his way. So
losing his best friend didn't help either.
That sucked.
Yeah.
I was down. That's how.
I have a lot of people who met Bam and they said he's a nice dude. He just having his demons, and hopefully he beats them.
And we all do.
Yeah.
And it's not easy to be put in that spot. it's like I said, I got a million great things said about me, and that's awesome. One negative is the one that festers in my brain.
And that's the one that people latch onto the negativity, not the positive. You can do 1,000 positive things. If you have one bad day and you do something or you say something that someone doesn't agree with, then everyone latches onto that. It kind of sucks that that's how our society is.
Yeah, and the same thing with him and Knoxville and them guys. You know, you hear one negative, and that's what festers in your head. And especially, it could be taken out of context. It could be somebody with the edit button just playing a little, you know.
So I don't edit anything.
Constructive. Great.
Yeah.
Boy, you guys in for disappointment.
Yeah.
It's amazing how fast things can change. You know,
Yeah.
you can make it. I could say something great, and you can edit it to the point where I look like I am gonna, you know, I'm the next Antichrist.
Yeah.
It's all the way you edit it, and unfortunately, the more popular you become, the more people like to play off of that. You know, they don't want to think that you're actually real and you're doing something nice. They have to play the drama card and make you look like you're the devil or something.
Yeah, I gave a lot of credit to Travis Pastrana too because, like growing up, obviously Bigfoot was a big thing, and then Gravedigger, and then I mean this is just my personal thing where I kind of fell off from the Monster Truck series for a while, and Travis kind of brought light back to it because he would put it on his TV show and he would do the cool monster truck things. Like I didn't know how popular the backflip was. I thought it was just something he tried to do all the time. Like
He tried it.
Yeah.
Failed.
Yeah.
And I reminded him that when I did mine. I called him up like, hey, I just did a backflip. You can't. Nah.
Yeah, I went to go see my buddy's band in New York, and we ended up getting kicked out because I had somebody with me who got too drunk. And I was like so bummed out. My buddy's like, "Don't worry about it. Travis Pastrana got kicked out the show before you." And I was like, "All right, I'm with the
That makes it
Nitro
worthwhile.
Circus." Yeah, I'm with the Nitro Circus boys.
Those guys are cool too. Like Travis,
His show was fantastic.
he's one of a kind. I mean, he really is a good dude. He's got a good heart, man. He comes from a good place. He doesn't forget where he came from. He is as sincere as he looks. You know, goofy,
Yeah.
and nothing good comes about hanging out with him. You know, you could have the best intentions, like, we're going to sit down and have a dinner. Next thing you know, you're out base jumping off a roof someplace. He'll find a way to talk you into doing some stupid shit. But it's all in good fun, and he'll make sure you're safe while you're doing it. But he's just a good guy. We were doing out in Vegas at the World Finals. And we were, I think it was the year we won the second World Finals. He was out there with us, and he's sitting next to me. We're doing autographs, and he's like, "This is so cool." He's like, "This is something that I need to bring to Nitro Circus," and this is something. It was right in the beginning of when Nitro Circus was talking about being a show. He was just amazed that we took the time to be with the fans, and we were there till 3, 4 in the morning.
Yeah, Nitro Circus, you're gonna get dirt bikes, you're gonna get quads, you're gonna get monster trucks, you're gonna like they do it. It's literally like it's exactly what the name is. It's Nitro Circus. Like it's a little bit of everything. It's super cool.
We were gonna do some stuff when they were in New York, but then the plans fell apart because he had to go down to practice at jumps for Vegas.
Yeah.
But we had some stuff planned that him and I were going to do down there that would have been kind of cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to go back real quick. The one thing I want to definitely top, if I don't sit down with you and talk at least this and how this came about, I'd probably kick myself. How did the Batman truck come about? Does DC contact you and say, hey, we want to put the Bat logo on a truck? Because they don't just let anyone put that logo on something.
But that contract was about that thick.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, that was a Monster Jam truck. The people at Monster Jam and DC Comics were working together on designing that truck, the body, how it was going to be, and a friend of mine who worked for Monster Jam, who's passed away now, but he asked me if I'd be interested in, he thought I'd be a good fit for Batman. I'm like, yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I could probably get into this. And I liked it for the fact as a driver, I could see really well in it. So that was another thing I liked. But the fact of being Batman, that's pretty awesome. They were cool to work with. We would go to the Javits Center in New York City for the toy conventions, and I'd have the Batman truck on display up there, and the Batmobile would be there. Out in L.A., Anaheim, California, and Phoenix, the stadium in Phoenix, I got introduced in the Batman car, the real one. They wouldn't let me play with no buttons. I couldn't drive it and stuff. They didn't trust me, but it was.
They didn't let you pick up the phone?
No, they'd sit there and shut up. Don't touch nothing. Don't get no ideas. I kind of get my mind's always wandering.
Yeah.
Like, hey, squirrel. So if I see an opportunity to have some fun, I'm like, mischief.
Yeah.
And then I go and have some fun. But they're like, sit here and behave. Don't touch nothing. Don't think nothing.
We're talking the 1966 Adam West.
The original
Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that show had a copter, a motorcycle and sidecar, and then the car were the two, like the main. And Batgirl had a bike, I believe, as well. They were like the big vehicles from that show. But obviously, the '66 Batmobile is the one that everyone talks about.
Just like getting near it and looking at it, that thing is so cool. I mean, the trucks would give me an opportunity.
Never seen it in person. That'd be one. Even if it's a replica, I would be really excited to see it. Yeah.
It's so tempting to play with buttons.
I think the closest I ever got to a cool vehicle, I think it came to one of the malls and my uncle took me, was the Monster Mobile. That used to make the rounds. I think the guy who owned the Monster Mobile then ended up owning one of the Batmobiles, and he would take them all over the place.
Yeah, a couple of guys have a bunch of touring vehicles now. They go around to different venues and
That
stuff.
used to be a big thing. Like they would bring them like the local malls and everything, and
Farm show.
Yeah, and we don't have malls for that kind of stuff anymore, so you don't see that anymore. Yeah.
No, I should take them out to the woods for bush parties. That would be the best place that way.
Yeah,
it's more grassroots.
You see them in like in cons, like Comic Cons and stuff. But yeah, definitely the Batman thing. I never knew that the guy who drove the Batman truck was from my county, obviously. But that's the big thing with monster trucks is it's kind of like what makes your truck stand out. Bigfoot. It was the blue paint. That blue paint just was alluring to your eye. All it really was a blue truck with a big American flag on it. I used to coincide Bigfoot with Hacksaw Jim Duggan for some reason as a kid because the American flag and it just looked like he had the same color trunks.
American made.
American made. Gravedigger obviously had the skulls and the cool, like the way it had a different shell to the back. It didn't look like any other thing you've seen before. The thing that got me back into monster trucks was when they start doing the Hulk Hogan and the Big Show, or the Giant, and the truck had the big arms.
Samson.
Yeah, the big arms that came around. I believe there was one that had like a dog face to it with the big teeth. Like that's what makes it stand out. So when you'd go to the store, obviously, if your kid's gonna buy a toy or a micro machine or the Hot Wheels, they want the one that just doesn't look like a truck with big wheels on it. They want it to stand out, and then that's where kind of you would see the Batman one all the time, because why wouldn't you want a Batmobile? And it kind of had the Michael Keaton flare wings to on the back a little bit. Did it have ears?
No
it
ears.
It just had the flare on the back.
Well, it had runners that came up over the top and kind of came down.
Yeah.
It wasn't really ears. It was more of a like the Batmobile.
Yeah.
It had the kind of off of that style of a body.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of the Michael Keaton or the Tim Burton Batmobile style.
Yeah. And we put flamethrowers on it, which was cool, which caused me a lot of grief, but it was cool. That whole thing. They were so. The DC comic, the Batman logo is so well protected. You can't have nothing within so many inches of it. DC would say what went on the truck, what didn't. When we won the first world championship, actually we won the second world championship, on the roof between the two runners, they had a big decal made that said two-time Monster Jam World Racing Champion, 2007, 2008. And the legality of trying to get that put on there was so hard because it had to go through so many different legal
well, you think they would want that because you're showing that you're a DC comic sponsored car as a two-time champion.
Yeah, and they did. They wanted it, but there were so many hands in the pot of deciding, okay, we want this font different. Can we have this slid over 2 inches? Or, there was very specific when it came to that truck of how Batman was represented.
Now I'm thinking 2007, 2008. So you're hitting big as the Christian Bale Batman movies.
When the motorcycle came out.
What?
When the motorcycle came out.
Yeah. But that was when Christian Bale was Batman in the movies. Yeah. So you're driving the truck at the time with those movies and that because Batman Begins was 2005. I think that went to like 2009, 2010 because it was a 3-movie trilogy. So you were actually right when like Batman, Heath Ledger, and the Joker were coming about.
Yep.
So that was a hot time to be driving anything or have anything with Batman on it.
We were up at the Javits Center, and we had my truck on display, and did the motorcycle and the car on display, which was so cool. I get to sit in the car for a picture, and I got to sit on the motorcycle, and it was some neat stuff.
Now you're forever attached with Batman because of that truck and winning 2 championships. Have you ever met any Batmans or anything with DC comic related, or had any experiences in that or stories?
Batman out there. I'm out in Sacramento, California, and we're doing a meet and greet, and a huge autograph line. It was massive, and this guy walked down with a Batman outfit on. Didn't say nothing to nobody. Like, it was creepy. Like, he just walked right down the sidewalk, walks up to me and says, "Thank you for representing me." Turned around and walked away. And I'm like, "No, you get back here.
Yeah.
we need to talk. We need a picture." He had the full Batman thing on. He had the voice down pat, and he had the persona of of Batman. It was creepy to see this.
I wonder if it's the guy who he made like a career. I think for the minute there, DC at first was gonna like, because he was going a little overboard with it, but he would go to like children's hospitals and he would show, because I think he had like a legit car and everything. He would go to all these different events for children and he would be Batman.
He won't come out of character.
Yeah, and he stays in character the whole time. So it might be that same guy, but anytime that you have the permission to use that logo and permission to grace the bat signal, I mean, there's been documentaries about how that signal and how that character has transcended for anyone. There's a lot to that logo.
We had that. Like when they were for introductions at the beginning of the show, they had a bat logo and they had a huge light, and my crew guy would shine it up on the roof of the stadium.
Yeah.
And then that was my introduction. I come flying out of the tunnel and stuff.
Would you use like the music from the movies or anything like that?
Yeah. It was cool. The whole atmosphere around that was neat. When I won the world championship, I didn't know what to do, because you all your life you want to be at that pinnacle, but then when it happens, it's like, shit, now what? I didn't plan for this part. I wanted to be there, but I didn't plan what happened afterwards. So I started doing donuts to try to calm down. I'm doing donuts in the middle of the stadium and people are cheering and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I need to get out of the truck now somehow. So I get out, I stop the truck and I crawl on the roof of the truck with my hands in the air and cheers and all that stuff. And the Batmobile had the front had these little, the hood was kind of rounded, then it kind of came up. Mm-hmm. So I slid down the windshield down through the rounded part off the hood, like it was just like a big sliding board, and came right down. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, Mtra truck, there's different events and things that go on. Obviously, there's the freestyle, then there's like a race. Mm-hmm. Walk us through your because you had to go against obviously a pretty big name.
For the World Finals?
For the World Finals, yeah.
Yeah. So what happens out there, it's in Las Vegas at Sam Boyd Stadium. You're doing almost 70 miles an hour in a 10,000-pound truck with a chicane in it. And you're missing the walls by like inches.
And you only got like a couple hundred yards to go, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's only the size of normally like
it's a football field. You start in the parking lot and you race. By the time the fans see us, they can hear you coming. When they see you, you're wide open. And as you progress through those rounds, a lot of things heat up. So like your brake fluid's getting hotter and like things you wouldn't think of normally. And you're pretty much focused in that truck. The first one, it came down to Dennis Anderson, Gravedigger, in the World Finals.
So you're going against, at this time, the Jordan of, I mean,
Dennis,
when it comes to the name of like the brand name of Mtra truck, you're going against the top guy.
He will always be the man.
Yeah.
No matter what. And he's a good dude. Mm-hmm. He was the reigning champion. And it was his 25th anniversary. He had this big fancy chrome truck that he was driving and stuff. And it came down to him and I. He had lane choice. And he took the lane that he liked, but he also put me in the lane that I liked, that had my fastest times and stuff in it. We came down through, and when you make a pass at that speed in that stadium, when you're done, you're like shaking, like, yeah, that was pretty cool,
yeah.
Because it's pretty heart wrenching to go down that fast. He ended up hitting a pole, but I had him by like a truck and a half when I crossed the finish line. And in the stands, some of the safety guys. You race this way and go in, and then you come out to one side. One of our bosses was up in the stands there, and he would give you you point and give you a thumbs up if you won, or give you a thumbs down if you lost. So you know if you came back the next round. So I ended up spinning the truck around, and I look up, and he went. I'm like, oh, shit, now what?
So you didn't even know at that time because you could only see.
You could see this.
Yeah.
I mean, I seen him coming around a corner, and once I got the truck, we came in the corner pretty much pushed together. And once I got the truck somewhat in control, I just stood on that thing for all it was worth. And and I could see both of us flying in the air, but I thought I was ahead of him, but I wasn't sure. And I got the thumbs up that I won. And now what? If you dream about that all your life of being number one in the world.
And you don't hear the PA system over the truck, like them announcing you as the champion?
Oh, no. I just got the thumbs up, and I'm like, shit. I didn't know what to do next.
Yeah.
So I started doing donuts. Just, people do donuts because it's cool. I was doing it to try to calm down.
Yeah.
Try to get a game plan.
Were you emotional under the helmet?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'll show you a video after we're done. It's to Three Doors Down, Let Me Be Myself, that song. And the video is about the 2 world championships. And there's so much, I'm going to end up crying like a little bitch here now. Because
no, that's an accomplishment, man. That's really cool.
The first year I won, There was so many, there was stuff going on in Afghanistan and all that stuff. And I had a soldier come to me in a pit party. He gave me a T-shirt that he had from his crew. They were guarding one of the embassies, and there was 5 of them that were going to come to that venue. Only one made it. The other 4 weren't able to make it. And he asked me if I'd wear a shirt. I'm like, hell yeah. I took off. I had, I don't know how many people around us waiting for an autograph, and took off my T-shirt, and I gave him my Batman shirt, and he gave me his crew shirt, his team shirt. I had that on. And my pockets were full of gifts from fans wishing good luck, like $2 bills and little notes and like all trinkets and stuff. After we won, I jumped in the stands with the fans, and it was just emotional. Yeah. Crying like a little bitch. Yeah. The whole time.
It just, for me, being the nerd, and like I said, like, it sounds corny, but like the character of Batman, and that everything about what that stands for, it makes it even cooler. And like,
it even
Batman beat Gravedigger, man.
Like, it gets worse, because the next year I won. We're doing the circuit, and I'm the reigning world champion. Every week I did a lot with Make-A-Wish, hospital visits, all this stuff, and we were down in Texas, and I got a phone call from one of my bosses. Say, hey, we have a Make-A-Wish that we want you to go, that wants to meet you down in Galveston. I'm like, yeah, okay, no problem. I'll get some programs and I'll drive down. All the way down, I'm driving, and they're on my phone like, hey, you there yet? Are you okay? And all this stuff. And I'm like, man, no, I'm not there yet. Calm down, And they were just more on top of it than normal. I'm like, yeah, something's weird going on. But I'm like, yeah, blew it off. I pull in front of the house, and I get this weird feeling. So I call them, like, look, I'm here. I'm ready to walk in. They're like, okay, just do the best you can do. I'm like, okay, not a problem. I walk in, and it turns out this named Josh, 12-year-old boy. He was, mom and dad were divorced. He was at an outside campfire. One of his dad's buddies threw gas and kerosene on a fire. It blew up, and it came down and landed on top of him. 98% of his body's burnt. He has no fingers, the bones are sticking out, no ears, no eyebrows, no nose. Like, this is something that you see on Oprah all the time. This was the
severe case,
and he was still leaking and everything. He's all bandaged up, and so I knelt down next to him. I'm talking to him, and trying to make light of everything. And I said, I said, we're racing up here tomorrow. I said, well, if it's okay with your parents and your doctor, what if you come up and hang out with us? And he wasn't sure, and I said, well, it's up to them. I said, it's up to your parents. You got to make sure everything's cool, and we'll get a suite up there. We'll make sure it's sterilized, and you come
up. Because obviously, if he's hearing protection and stuff.
Yeah. So we'll make it a good time. So they end up agreeing, and he ends up coming up. Before the show, you always did pit parties. So you come down, meet the trucks, see the trucks, meet the drivers. Reliance Stadium was like 17,000 people there at the pit party. And before I had to go down to that, I was in the suite with him, and I said, why don't you come on down with me? And he's like, I can't. I'm like, no, you can. If I could go down, you could go down. And he's like, no, I'm embarrassed. I'm like, dude. And that's why. He's like, well, look at me. I'm like, you were in an accident, and this happened to you, which sucks. But it was an accident. I was born this way, and I'm going down into public. If I can do this, you can do this. He starts laughing and stuff. I said, well, I'll tell you what, if you want to, I'd like to have you down there. If not, I'll see you when I'm done. So he ends up coming down halfway through the pit party, and he's by my side and shit, which was way cool.
Yeah.
I ended up winning the event. After the event, when I'm up in the suite with him, and I said, what finals is coming up? I said, I know it's hard because you're in a lot of pain and everything. Do everything the doctors say, and get permission from your mom and dad, and you do everything you got to do and fight this. And if you want, we'll fly you out to the world finals for the Make-A-Wish stuff.
And this would have been your second championship.
Yeah. Yeah. So we everything falls in place. We're able to fly them out there. We're able to get a special van for them, and that one day during that event, it's a whole week event. The one day is for Make-A-Wish only. So all the Make-A-Wish kids come, and the whole day is all about them. We're with them, everything. And we're kind of hanging out, and he's like, I got a surprise for you. I'm like, cool, I'm hungry, can I eat it? He's like, no, you can't eat it. I'm like, dude, come on, man, I'm fat, I'm hungry, it's hot out here. How about, is it something I could drink? And I'm just trying to tease him a little bit. And he's like, no, I got it. But he kept on teasing me today. It's a surprise for me. So when do I get it? He's like, when it's time. I'm like, you know what? If it wasn't for the fact that I know you could beat me up, I'd kick your butt right now because I don't like surprises. So a little bit goes by, and he gets his dad over, and he ends up standing up and walking. That was his surprise. That was the first time he walked since his accident.
Oh, man.
So I'm watching this, bawling like a bitch. Everybody around her is crying like there's no tomorrow. And all the drivers are there, and they all see this shit. He walks over to my truck, and at my truck is like a director's chair. He hops in it and sits there. So I walk over to him and stuff, and I sit down with him, and I'm hugging him, and I said, you did this for me. He's like, yeah, this is my surprise for you. I said, well, I'm going to win this tonight for you. And me being an asshole that I am, I just promised to win a world championship for somebody. And after I got done saying that, I'm thinking, oh, you dick. You know, like, it's hard enough winning a race, let alone winning a world championship.
Is it like, I'm sorry if I'm comparing it again to NASCAR, but like, is there like points throughout the year, and then the point system goes to a finals, and then how do you go through? Is there a season? How do you get to a world championship?
It's a season, first quarter, so it's January, February, March. It's certain trucks automatically get put in. Gravedigger, Maximum Destruction.
It's a little bit like the big names.
Yeah, they're automatically in.
Yeah.
Everybody else has to kind of show their worth to get there.
Mm-hmm.
We end up, we're back because we're reigning champions, and we were kicking butt. We won. I think the last year I raced, I won like 87% all my races.
Wow.
Yeah, we were doing pretty good. So I promised I'm going to win this thing, and my heart stopped because I realized I'm an idiot, and I promised something that's probably not going to happen. We start racing. I'm strapped in my truck, and my crew guys are there, and every round we're going winning rounds. Going to the next one. I park, and I'm like, okay, who do we have next? Do you have so and so? Like, okay, what lane do we have? You have lane choice. Okay, give me this lane. And making these calls, and I'm so focused on what I'm doing. We end up racing. I come back into the pits. I'm like, who's next? And my crew chief's like, you won. I'm like, okay, who's next? They're like, you won. I'm like, I got it. What lane do we have? They're like, get out of the truck, you asshole. You just won the world championship.
Who was your last race against?
Bounty Hunter.
Bounty Hunter.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, well, I didn't know that because I'm already.
You were so in the zone.
I had no idea we won.
You didn't even know you were on the final race.
You were just doing one round at a time.
Yeah.
And so Cody, my crew chief, and I, we go running out on a video I'll show you. You can see us running out from the like a back office because I didn't take the truck on the floor because I already had it parked back there, and we come running out. Well, I ended up jumping in the stands and with the fans, and they always call me the People's Champion. Mm-hmm. So I was in the stands. I happened to jump in right where Josh was, the Make-A-Wish kid. Wasn't planned by any means. I jump in right where he was, and I'm hugging him and stuff. I'm like, I did this for you, and I'll share shit. But yeah, it was emotional.
Mm-hmm. Well, how is he currently?
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's got a family. He has a son. He's kicking ass.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's
super cool. Yeah, just a small fan interaction, man. He's gonna have that forever.
Yeah, I don't know if you're able to follow me on Facebook and stuff. I always write about how I feel, and I always did that when I was racing full time. I always wrote blogs and everything because it's people think that you're doing that or you're on TV or whatever. You have no problems, and problems are just as real as everybody else's. Yep. And I used to write and let people, life sucks sometimes. One of my fans, Connor, when I first met him, he was like 4 years old. His mom just posted a bunch of pictures on my page. He wasn't supposed to make it very long, and now he just he's graduating high school. Every time I felt bad about myself, like I was trying to give myself a little pity party, like this sucks, I can't believe I'm going through this. He would call, and just like he knew that I need a kick in the ass.
Yeah, buck up.
To quit being a bitch.
Someone has it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like every time, like even to this day, like, he called the other day, and he just knows when I'm being a little bitch, and he banks me.
Check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fans like that, like people like that stay with you forever. Like there's another kid out in California, Drew. I can't say kid. He looks like a kid, but he's 26 years old. But I could carry him in one arm. He was just, and he was always a big Gravedigger and Maximum Destruction fan. So we would have a bet every time I was there. If I won, he had to wear his Gravedigger shirt inside out. If he won, I had to wear my Batman shirt or whatever shirt I had on inside out. So there's a picture of me hugging him, and his shirt's inside out, and that was on TV and stuff. And they were asking, "Why is his shirt inside out?"
I beat his hero.
Yeah, so I kicked his ass. And then people would ask me, "Why is my shirt on?" I said, "Because I lost." And a bet's a bet. You make a promise, you keep a promise.
That's super cool, man. Well,
I'm sorry if we're going on a tangent here.
No, this is amazing. I'm so happy about this. When did you get out of monster truck racing, and we'll kind of get into current day and starting your business?
Probably, I think 2015 or 16 was the last time I drove full time. The sport was bought by somebody, and it kind of changed directions a little bit. So some of the older guys were getting passed up a little bit, and I was part of that whole thing. Still a part of it. We have this chassis here is behind the shop. My son bought it.
Which one?
This one. That was Sudden Impact. That was the one I raced on TV all the time. The Sudden Impact.
So you still have the Sudden Impact?
That's out back here.
Where is the Batman one currently? Is that like in the Hall of Fame or something?
No, the body pieces are all over the place.
Oh, really?
The chassis was retired because that was a special chassis because it fit the body. It's gone.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah, but I mean, there's pieces everywhere. The pieces I had, I gave away to a lot of fans. Actually, even my trophies now, I have a lot of trophies, and my son's going to raffle them off on Facebook, and the money's going to go to Make-A-Wish.
Yeah.
So we could, do all that.
Mm-hmm.
But my son bought that chassis back, and we're going to restore that. My oldest boy is building a chassis. It's actually in the back of the shop here that I'm helping him with, and it's his design, his plans. I'm going to help him make sure he doesn't make a lot of.
Does he want to race?
Oh yeah.
So he wants to follow in the footsteps to be a monster truck driver?
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah. And we have some wood trucks here we have some cool stuff that we're building up here. We have a lot.
So when they come locally, you still go to the events?
Yeah, friends with everybody. There'll be guys here. I'm using the shop. We have a 12,000 square foot building here, so the guys will come in like, hey, we're in the area. It's okay we swing by. Yeah, they come in, and trucks will be in there, and that's back to being like a big kid in a candy store.
What is the lifestyle of a monster truck driver in between circuits and is it like being a rock star?
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
I'm 56 and I'm still walking upright.
Yeah, we're doing it.
I feel that I could hop in and be competitive racing.
Yeah.
Right now. My allergies are killing me. But we don't know. I mean, all the older guys are kind of in, kind of out. I don't know.
And you're still in contact with everybody?
Yeah, this year we were down in Outer Banks last year, and there's a restaurant out there on the Outer Banks that we used to go to all the time. Dennis Gravedigger would go there a lot, and he has his sign hanging up there and some autographed dollar bills. So I did my own and hung it over top of his, and autographed one of my crew shirts and sent it down there. And
Does that 25th anniversary still bug him? He's won a lot, but I mean, obviously the 25th one would have been the special one. But
our Eagles are bigger than the trucks we drive.
Yeah.
We would race for a pack of bubble gum. It wouldn't matter, and you wouldn't win any chance you have. And that one was a long time coming.
You don't beat Batman. That's all there is to it.
No,
He just can't.
Batman's a shit.
Yeah, he doesn't lose.
Well, he does, but he doesn't take it well. There is we were racing on TV on TNN, actually with the Sudden Impact truck, and we were talking about local stuff, and we're up at Bloomsburg. Tom Mentz and I were fighting on TV all the time. If you asked me before, do you hit somebody on purpose?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you swing the back end of the truck over and tag somebody else's truck just to be a dick, to make a point. And show them that you're there, or do a donut and cover their truck in dirt. And just to make your point across. And Tom was on this 38 win streak, like nobody able to get near him. I ended up taking him out in the Astrodome. I beat him and ended that winning streak of his. And it was on TNN, I think. And all the drivers, the whole show stopped. All the drivers came over. When I got out of the truck, they're cheering and high-fiving and stuff. It was
Took down the giant.
Yeah, because nobody could beat him. He was unstoppable at that time. And I was lucky enough to pull off a win. That summer we were racing in Bloomsburg, and Tom's up there, and he calls me on the phone. He's like, "Dude, get over here." I'm like, "What's wrong?" And we're friends. I mean, but we were, you arguing stuff like that. I'm like, "Well, what's wrong?" He's like, "I'm getting my ass kicked. Get over here." I'm like, "Okay." So I go back to the pits. He's up against the trailer, his back, and there's 3 ladies from Frackville. They live up at a Little League field. Have him pinned up against the trailer, poking him in the chest. "Don't you be picking on our Johnny!" And just screaming at him, and he couldn't get away because they were going to kick the shit out of him.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. And I'm standing back kind of laughing at him, and he's like, "Save me, get over here."
Yeah, you don't mess with Skooks, man.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So I just want to say the Monster Truck Racing Association, the MTRA, Sportsman of the Year, 97, 98, and 2000. The Sportsman of the Year, is that just for accomplishments on track, or sportsman just a good sportsman?
Good sportsmanship,
Yeah.
like a humanitarian type of thing.
So like your work with the fans and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the drivers and all that.
Yeah, the USHRA Sportsman of the Year 2001, the MTRA Most Improved Team in 1999, the MTRA Safety Award 2000, the USHRA World Finalist 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2007, 8, 9, and 10. So you hung out there on top for a long time.
A little bit.
And then the USHRA Monster Jam Racing Champion in 2007 and 2008. So your accomplishments speak for themselves when it comes to your craft and your sport, and it's awesome that born and raised Schuylkill County, Frackville, Pennsylvania, and you represented the area, man. That's awesome. And you represented Batman, so that's a twofer, man.
I would always brag about the Call region and the ethics and the morals of people around here. I've been all over the place, and there's no place like home. Here, there's nowhere else you would go that if somebody's house was on fire, that everybody would get together and give them clothes and food and stuff like that.
I lost a house myself, and it happened the exact same way. Everyone banded together and helped us out.
Yeah, I mean, you don't find that anywhere. I mean, and I bragged every week on TV about how much the Call region is and how much it meant to me and how good it's always to come home. And I tried really hard to. A lot of people don't even know I raced monster trucks because I never wanted to be an asshole. I didn't want to brag and all that shit. So I was really careful where my truck was sitting around because I didn't want to have it shoved down anybody's throat. I didn't want to act like a jerk. I'm proud of what I did, but I didn't want to be that guy.
It's a mentality in this area because you don't want to come off that way, but you also want to be proud to be like, here's where I'm from. But you don't want that one person to be like, oh, he's rubbing it like he made it out. Like, no, like I want to make it out, but I want to make it out and say like this is where I'm from, and anyone else could, like, you want to inspire other people to make it out as well.
When I won the first one, they flew me back to Chicago to do autographs. So I had autographed a bunch of posters and all that stuff. Well, I didn't know, but my crew guys were driving the truck here to town, what was left of it anyway, for a parade. Because I always thought it'd be so cool to come home and have a parade and all that shit. And my sister picked me up at the airport. We got into Frackville, and there was what was left of my truck on the back of a lowboy in town, and the fire trucks were there. And at Romans, they had a party for me, and Monster Jam reps were there, and they had a bunch of handouts, and it was a dream come true.
Yeah, to come home and be honored for your accomplishments of what you've done, man.
Yeah, it was something I always dreamed about. Never thought it'd be possible, but it was sweet.
I mean, it's great to win the championship twice, but I think the Sportsman of the Year speak for themselves of your fan interaction and how you always gave back to the people and to make a wish.
Yeah, again, I'm getting all teary-eyed, so if you make fun of me, I'm going to kick you right in the nuts.
No, I think it's beautiful, man. I seriously do. It's good to give people their roses while they're still here, and I'm really happy we got to sit down and talk. But obviously, you still want to compete. You have someone coming up through the ranks. Your son's going to possibly do it to keep an eye out. But you do have a local business, Black Rock Trucks and Equipment. What exactly do you guys do here? And
we do everything here, which is way cool. Like I wanted a place that people think it's kind of cool for having a monster truck champion builder stuff or designer stuff. We do everything from Englewood's new squad that they have. We built that here. We do inspections and repairs and oil changes, all that normal stuff. But a lot of the jacked up Jeeps and trucks that you see driving around came out of here.
Yeah.
You see the little Black Rock logo on the bottom. We have a guy that
jacking up the Chrysler.
We could do that. We can make it look really cool. tinted windows. I mean, we do everything. You know, we have people that we work with that that do the tinting, that does detailing and stuff like that. But say if you had let's use a Jeep for example. You have a Jeep and you come in here and you want to lift it up. I'll sit down, talk to you, and see what you want to do with it, and we'll build it for. Like I'll try to get you what your vision is, and try to make it happen. I mean, we've had people come in here that we built their vehicle, and we brought them into the shop and showed it, and they broke down in tears.
So you're like the school county version of like Pit My Ride.
Yeah. So we're a lot
like
cooler.
The Orange County choppers, but
we're a lot cooler. We're a lot cooler.
Much cooler, School County.
Yeah. And we're building neat shit.
Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, but we do everything just to make for the shop, like the inspections and brake jobs and all that stuff, a lot front end alignments and everything. But we do all kind of custom stuff.
Yeah, so definitely we'll have the links below. So if you are watching this, please go down to the bottom and check out the Facebook link. I'll have all your social medias and links, and you can hit them up and get your work done.
Yeah. It's kind of. I mean, we do some cool stuff, and we got an awesome shop here. You want to keep on following us because there's some big things happening in the future with our location that people are going to want to be part of, and it's going to bring some good attention to the county.
Awesome. I'm very excited for that. I just want to pull up real quick my, 'cause I didn't do it last episode, and it's part of the thing that I give them some love. But we do have, if you guys want to support us, we do have the Facebook, all of our social media. You can go follow us. We have the merchandise page where you can support us there, as well as our Patreon subscribers. So as it's loading, is there anything else you want to plug or get out there before we wrap this up?
I think you're doing an awesome job.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
It's cool. There is so much awesome things around our area that nobody knows about, for whatever the reason may be. There's a lot of talent here. There's a lot of cool things that started in the coal region that you don't have anywhere else.
Yeah.
And what you're doing, bringing that to everybody's attention, I think is awesome.
I don't have a journalist degree. I just kind of. But
You guys got to be real.
I think I'm a good conversationalist, and I try to replicate having that ballroom conversation at any place, and just kind of bringing it to light and unedited, and just have a pure conversation with somebody.
I've done thousands and thousands of interviews live in front of audiences on TV, all kinds of stuff. And the one thing they always said was just be yourself and be real. And that's how we were with the fans. You know, the people deserve to have a real person, not somebody reading the script, not somebody who's trying to blow smoke up your ass. They want real people. And what you're doing is awesome because that barroom conversation is what it's all about. You know, kicking back, chilling, just, you know, being the person that you are. And I think that's going to be the key to making you successful with your stuff. It's awesome. I watch your stuff all the time. And
I appreciate that. It means a lot.
I do podcasts probably one every 3-4 weeks. You know, we did one the other night that was just phenomenal. And watching your stuff is cool because it's real. It's down to earth. It's backyard. You're touching base with people that nobody would know about. Like Bobby's awesome. You know, the one you did last down there in Monty City. Guys like him.
I'm just happy I got to sit down with him. I didn't think that conversation was ever going to happen.
No, it was so close to not happening.
That one meant a lot, and the fact that people supported. So if you are watching and you made it this far, a share goes a long way. Hitting that share button, hit like, letting people know this exists. It goes, because I don't pay algorithms to make me go out there. And like I said, for over 1,000 people to watch and seen that overall on all platforms, to see Bobby's story. I mean, it's awesome that it was our platform that it did it, but getting his story out there, just like this story, and people seeing your accomplishments and seeing your homegrown school county, it's awesome.
I was driving a grinder for Advanced Auto Parts representing them, and you didn't have to like my page to see it. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, I have 1,000 likes or 100,000 likes." That's cool, but I'd rather how many people are actually looking at it.
Yeah.
So mine was 11 days over a year and I have over 1 million views.
Yeah.
And that meant so much to Advanced Auto Parts and myself that there's actually over 1 million people looking at my stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't. The numbers of likes doesn't mean nothing. Like doesn't mean anything. But the people who comment and say, "Hey, I really enjoyed that," or the people who reach out and
resharing it and stuff.
That means a lot. Yeah. But we want to thank our Patreon subscribers. Bridget, I'm going to butcher her last name. Nina Richer, Andrew Hare, Greg Reese, Anthony, Heidi Blackwell, Ryan Galato from the Fueled by Haas podcast, Kelly from Crystal Mountain Healing, Tommy Borsrath, Tree of Life Metaphysical Shop, Brad Zalonis, Hireth in Other Words, and Jay Hoare. Thank you guys all for your support on Patreon. It helps us out so much. We are doing a contest giveaway. We have a Yeti what is the new name? Because we call it koozies and it makes
Colster?
a Colster, a Yeti Colster. It's a custom one that we had made for Bangin' Beers. There's a giveaway going on. Anyone who subscribes to Patreon from now to the end of February is in the running to do that. If you subscribe for $10 or more, we put you in the running for a free T-shirt every month. So it's really exciting. But that's all I got on my end. Thank you guys so much for interviews with everyday people watching this on season 4, kicking it off once again with a great one. Thank you so much, John.
Thanks for having me, man.
doing this. I definitely want to. We have to touch back because you have a lot more stories I want to touch on with you. Yeah. But I think this is a good starting point for people to know.
I'd be honored.
The name pops up, we can just go right to the stories and have some fun.
Yeah, not a problem, buddy. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
We're out of here.